Hey everybody, Dr. Phil here. This is going to be a video on consumer decision process and problem recognition in the wider sort of category of consumer behavior. So let's start by talking about the types of consumer decisions. So purchase involvement is the level of concern for or interest in the purchase process triggered by need to consider a particular purchase, and so it's a temporary state that's influenced by the interaction of individual product and situational characteristics. Nominal decision-making, also known as habitual decision-making, in effect involves no decision per se. So think about, you know, there isn't really a lot to think about. You go, maybe you go buy bread and milk, you kind of do it all the time. You probably have the same one that you just get out of habit. Um, Now, nominal decisions occur when there's very low involvement with the purchase. A completely nominal decision does not even include consideration of the do not purchase alternative. So again, their example, of course, as you can see here, is olive oil. Um, this person isn't looking at the other brands of olive oil. They've probably got the one they like, and they're just going to keep purchasing that one. And again, to my other example of like bread and milk, we'd probably do the same thing, right? We just go, we get the bread we like, we get the milk we like. There's obviously a lot of other bread on the shelf. Probably don't pay too much attention to it. Maybe every now and again we do, but most times we don't, and we just get the bread that we like. And we can compare this to limited decision making. So limited decision making involves internal and limited external search. Few alternatives, simple decision rules on a few attributes, and little post-purchase evaluation. It's kind of the middle ground between a nominal and extended decision making. It involves recognizing a problem for which there are several possible solutions. So the decision is based on only buying, for example, we see in the picture here, the cheapest pasta. So maybe somebody's on a budget, they're very price conscious, very sort of, cost aware. So they may just want to get the cheapest one they can. And then also extended decision making. So extended decision making involves extensive internal and external search, followed by a complex evaluation of multiple alternatives. It's a response to the high level of purchase involvement. During post-purchase evaluation, doubts are likely, and a thorough evaluation takes place. So this is sort of the opposite of what we were talking about before. The person here is going to really do their homework. They're really going to pay attention. So the types of consumer problems. So we sort of have active problem versus inactive problem. So an active problem is one the consumer is aware of or will become aware of in the normal course of events. The marketing strategy here is only require the marketer to convince consumers that its brand is the superior solution. And we can compare the active problem to what we call inactive problem. Now, an inactive problem is one of which the consumer is not aware. The marketing strategy here, is that the marketer must convince consumers that they have the problem and that their brand is a superior solution. Now, with regard to the process of problem recognition is the first stage in the consumer decision process. Marketers develop products to help consumers solve problems. They also attempt to help consumers recognize problems, sometimes well in advance of their occurrence. For example, if we look on the right and we can see the picture, the dog treats. These are used to clean dogs' teeth as well as being a treat to clean their teeth. Greenie's dental treats alert dog owners of the potential problem of pets chewing on furniture. Having greenies on hand provides dog owners the opportunity to give their pets a good chew instead of a bad chew on, for example, let's say, a living room chair. Now, with regard to applications in consumer behavior, often marketers need to trigger problem recognition in market segments. The ad for IKEA pertains to an inactive problem, and that's the one on the left, and the one for Nexus Hair Care relates to an active problem. The IKEA ad first must make consumers aware of a problem, inactive, they likely didn't know of, the danger of unsecured furniture. The Nexus ad assumes consumers are aware of the problem of damaged hair, hence active, and simply focuses on its unique ability to solve it. Now, with respect to discovering consumer problems, there are some things we should think about here. One is identifying consumer problems using online and social media. Sites must be well known and easy to access by consumers. Sites must also be monitored constantly to answer consumer problems in a timely manner. Now, continuing with the theme of discovering consumer problems, let's talk about surveys and focus groups and how they can use one of the following approaches to problem identification. So, number one is activity analysis. So, activity analysis focuses on a particular activity to determine what problems consumers encounter during the performance of the activity. Number two is product analysis. Product analysis examines the purchase or use of a particular product or brand. Consumers may be asked about problems associated with using a product or brand. And number three, problem analysis. So this starts with a problem and asks which activities, products, or brand are associated with, or perhaps could eliminate, these problems. Now let's continue to talk about discovering consumer problems, now in the context of human factors research. Human factors research attempts to determine human capabilities in areas such as vision, strength, response time, flexibility, and fatigue, and the effect on these capabilities of lighting, temperature, and sound. Observational techniques such as slow motion and time-lapse photography, video recording, and event recorders are particularly useful methods. This type of research can sometimes identify functional problems that consumers may be unaware of. And now let's talk about emotion research. So marketers are increasingly conducting research on the role of emotions in problem recognition and resolution. Common approaches are surveys, focus group research, and personal interviews that examine the emotions associated with certain problems. Now, these are critical in helping marketers anticipate consumer reaction to problems and train customer service personnel to respond appropriately. Now, once a consumer problem is identified, the manager may structure the marketing mix in an attempt to solve the problem. Now, this could involve, and again, this is not an exhaustive list by any means, this can involve developing a new product or altering an existing one, perhaps modifying channels of distribution, maybe changing the pricing policy, you would want to do that carefully, or revising the advertising strategy. Now, continuing with consumer problems and responding to consumer problems, once a consumer problem is identified, the manager may structure the marketing mix to solve the problem. This can involve developing a new product or altering an existing one. This Ember Wave 2 ad shows how marketers identify consumer problems such as trouble sleeping and then position their brands as solutions for them. This device, for example, provides warm or cold sensations to the skin depending on the user's preference in an attempt to help the user sleep better. And helping consumers recognize problems, generic versus selective problem recognition. So with regard to generic problem recognition, this involves a discrepancy that a variety of brands within a product category can reduce. Increasing generic problem recognition generally results in an expansion of the total market. Now we can compare this to selective problem recognition. This involves a discrepancy only one brand can solve. Now firms attempt to cause selective problem recognition to gain or maintain market share in the sense that people can only, or they want to make people perceive that they can only buy that firm's product in order to solve the problem. Now, generic versus selective problem recognition. The California Grapes ad we see in the top right picture does not promote a specific brand, but instead focuses on generic problem recognition that eating grapes promotes a healthy brain, among other benefits. And if we look at the bottom picture, bottom right, this is the Arm & Hammer clean and simple product. Selective problem recognition involves a discrepancy that only one brand can solve. The Arm & Hammer ad is focusing on creating selective problem recognition by emphasizing that this laundry detergent uses safer for you ingredients while still providing a deep clean. And suppressing problem recognition in the wider context of helping consumers recognize problems. Occasionally, information is introduced in the marketplace that triggers problem recognition that some marketers prefer to avoid. Now, obviously, marketers do not want their current customers to recognize problems with their brands. So effective quality control and distribution, limited out-of-stock situations, are important in this effort. Packages and package inserts that assure the consumer of the wisdom of the purchase are also common. This is a good way to sort of reinforce that somebody is, making a good decision. Okay, thanks as always for watching this quick video, and I will see you all soon.